So I'll first just start out with a little introduction. Actually, if you could please post in the chat to confirm that, first of all, you can hear me. That would be great to know. Definitely need to know if you can't hear me. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Cool. Awesome. All right, and we already have quite a few people online today, which is great. And I'm guessing that that is because we have recently pretty much migrated fully to Sherpa 2.0. Lots of you have questions, and so if you already have questions that you know you want to ask, feel free to already start popping them in the chat there. I'm not going to address questions right away. I've got a few housekeeping items I'd like to address first, but once I get to questions, if your question is already in the chat, I will address it once I get to them. So if you have questions, go ahead and put them in the chat. We do have 45 minutes today. I try to keep to that 45 minutes as much as possible. Don't like running too long. We have people to help, you know, I can't always just be on a webinar. I've got to help you guys out. So try to keep to that 45 minutes, but it is a completely open 45 minutes for you guys to ask any questions you'd like. If it is, though, very specific to your own account, something that might not be happening to other people or might not be useful for other people to kind of sit in and listen to, then we will ask that you send that question to support@leadsherpa.com. Same thing kind of goes for our Facebook group. We're very happy to have you guys posting in the Facebook group. We want a very active user community because you're going to get lots of support and advice from other users who are using the system in their markets. And so we want you to always be posting questions in there. But if it has been recently discussed, or again, if it's very specific to your account, not necessarily helpful for the other people in the group, we may deny the request to post, but we do still typically provide a response in that in the denial of the request to post. We'll send a response back letting you know a quick answer, and you can always write into support@leadsherpa.com for more details to kind of dive in a little bit more with an answer, because those Facebook answers only let us type out so much. So that kind of is just a quick overview. Quite a few people, as I had mentioned, online. If you did just join us, do pop your questions in the chat if you have them already, and I will get to them in just a moment. So from here on out, all of my webinars will be focusing on Sherpa 2.0. The legacy version of Sherpa is still available for you, but only through this week. So after Friday, it will no longer be available. I know that there are some people who are so used to working that original system that they don't necessarily want to see it go, but I want to make sure that on these webinars and when you guys are writing into us, we're showing you the benefit of Sherpa 2.0. It's not just a different layout. There's a lot of new features and things that are going to help you close deals. And so whenever somebody says, is it possible to keep working on the old system? I'm used to it. I don't want to learn a new system. It breaks my heart a little bit. One, because we put so much customer feedback into this new system, and it will really help you generate more leads and close more deals. And so I need to make sure that I'm showing that value for you. And so that's what we're going to do today. I do want to also, let me close this slideshow. I'm going to bring us over to the Facebook group. If you're not a member just yet, just go to facebook.com/group/Sherpa. There is a link within your platform as well under the support tab to come to here, just to show you how useful this group can be for each other. Guy, one of our longtime users, posted the other day asking questions what other people do, and answered his own question about what they do. They're getting 10 leads a day in Tampa, which is a very competitive market. That is awesome. So if it's not working for you, you might just need to tweak some items. It's going to work. It works for people. It often comes down to who's working the system. And so if it's not working for you, please do go ahead and reach out to us. If we need to escalate something to a Zoom call to walk through the account together, we can do that. But the system works. Just think about how many people you can reach in one day. You're getting a good delivery rate. You're getting a good response rate. There has to be leads in there. And if you're not getting them, then we need to kind of take a look with you at what's going on. And so definitely come to the Facebook group. Talk with the other users to see what's working for them and maybe what you should be doing in order for the system to work for you. I'm going to mute somebody. I see somebody's unmuted. So I do start with everybody muted. if there is a question that pops up or that you want to kind of jump in on, do unmute yourself and let me know, especially if I'm just kind of rambling on and maybe haven't taken a look at the chat. If it's something really important on top of what I'm saying, feel free to unmute yourself and jump in. But if you're not jumping in with a question or a comment or anything like that, please do keep yourself muted for the next 40 now minutes or so. So let's go ahead and actually take a look at Sherpa 2.0. I'm here in our account. And there's quite a few new items in here. So I'm first going to go through all of the new items. Actually, I'm going to take a look at the chat first to see if there's anything pressing first. 2.0 is very user-friendly. Yes, it is. Thank you very much for saying. I think that just so many people get used to working at a legacy system that they see something new and it freaks them out a little bit. But really, it's much more user-friendly. And so I'm glad that some of you do see that. Let's see. So, okay, Steve, I'm going to get to your question a little bit. I'm first just going to go through all of the new features that you guys might not have seen yet because you haven't gone through that workflow. And so I just want to point some things out for you. One of the biggest things are the new follow-up campaigns. I'm going to come to that last because it is a big feature to kind of go through all of the different options, and it might bring up some more questions for you guys. So I'm going to address that one last. First things first, I'm going to go over, though, to the dashboard. These are recent items that I'm looking at. There are some new items from before that as well. But let's go ahead and bring us over to the dashboard. So first things first, these monthly goals, they're coming soon. They're not ready yet. Active campaigns, we have a ton of active campaigns and a ton of data. So it takes a minute or so for this to load just because it's gathering all of that data and average response rates across all of that data and things like that. So this will load in just a second. But then we can see here highest performing and lowest performing. And so if you watched my YouTube video on this, if you have any feedback of what you'd like to see, what highest performing and lowest performing should be based off of, what that metric should be off of, just pop it in this feedback tab here because we can make those changes. Right now, it's based off of delivery rate and response rate, an equation between these two items. However, I'm thinking it might be better to have ratio of leads. However, as you can see, we sent 11,000 messages in this and just 5 leads. It was a follow-up campaign. So this is the third time we're contacting these people, but that's why it's showing as our lowest performing. Highest performing, it was a very, very small campaign, but just this is based off of delivery and response rate. This is just the data from the last 30 days. And honestly, in our company, we are doing large campaigns that take a very long time to complete. There's lots of you who probably have a whole bunch of campaigns here in this drop-down menu to select from to compare your data. You can also select single campaigns at a time, so you can just quickly get those stats when you need them. You can also compare your campaigns, and so if you hover over these bars, you can see the actual stats that have gone into the graphs, and this dark blue color matches this campaign in each of these graphs, and this aqua color matches this campaign, and so you can select, again, your 2 different campaigns. Again, we only have the 2 right now from the past 30 days, but you will be able to select more than that. You can also select a date range on this one. On this one you can't. On this one you can, so that you can compare older campaigns if you'd like as well. Leaderboard, we now have a date selection. So this has been long awaited by you guys. Again, as you can see, we're not super active lately, but for you, this should be a much, much higher number over this past month. But you can do weekly, monthly, yearly if you want to get all of your stats in bulk, whereas before this was just a day-to-day measurement. So that's an exciting update that people have been waiting for a long time as well. Now that this has loaded, we can see how many active campaigns we have, how many leads we had, how many sends, overall delivery rate, and overall response rate, which it's really awesome. Delivery rate, we always want it to be high. Response rate, we can maybe expect this to be a little bit lower than normal, only because this is taking into account all of our active campaigns. So if we have follow-up campaigns, follow-up campaigns, follow-up campaigns, we know that that response rate drops every time we're recontacting these people over and over again. And so on those, you know, when you're contacting somebody for the 4th time, those campaigns tend to get single-digit response rates. So to have a 36% response rate over all of our campaigns is pretty awesome. So if we're still making lots of changes here, again, if you guys have any suggestions, things you'd like to see, different ways things should be measured, just pop it in that feedback tab there. Okay, next on my list of new items to address. So we've had quite a bit of feedback about our quick replies. This is the icon here to use the quick replies. Before it was just the title to select your quick replies really quickly, but now we have added this search, and this search will not only pull matches based off of the titles, but actually on the context of the message itself. So some of the feedback we got was, I would like to see the quick reply itself, but we also had lots of people who said that they love that the quick replies is only the title because it allows them to select a quick reply quicker, which that's the whole point of a quick reply. So if you type in, if you remember the context of a message but not quite sure what you labeled it, you can type in part of the context of the message. So you can see here property records is not in the title, but when I select it, it is in the actual context of the message. So that should help you guys with selecting your quick replies. And you can also now save a quick reply from what you've typed into the message field. Just click that and it will allow you to save it as a quick reply as well. So that is a recent improvement. What else? I'm trying to get through this list fairly quickly so we can address then your guys' questions. Tags. Tags is a big one that I think that lots of people are overlooking. So if you're not using tags yet, do use them. There are some things that are getting auto tagged now as well, and I'll cover that in just a second. But it is definitely something you want to be using. So when you're responding to somebody, if you know that it's a vacant home or in pre-foreclosure, or if they mention it, you can manually add these tags here. So bring that pop out. The tags section is here. And so you have a bunch of tags and you can select as many as apply to that prospect. If these tags, most of them are defaulted into your account. You don't have to create them, but you can create custom tags in your account settings page if there's anything that you feel is missing and you want to be tracking. So again, you can apply as many tags as you would like to the prospect. The more tags a person has, probably the more under distress they are. If they're bankrupt and their home is vacant, they're going through a divorce, you know, all of these different things, if they have liens, you can apply them all, and that will basically give you some sort of fire under you to stay on top of that person because they're really under distress. And so not only will seeing that on the prospect page make you realize, I probably want to mark this person as priority and stay on top of that conversation, but when you come to your prospect search, you can select numerous tags and apply filter, and anybody who has those 3 tags or 2 tags or even 1 tag, you can also turn it to any, just so that if I had all 3 selected, if a prospect has any of those tags, they'll show up here. Again, we have a lot of data on our account, so it takes a second to load prospect search items, but that will help you bring up a list of prospects who you want to stay on top of. So use tags, and this is something that we have added some automation to. So if you're using our skip trace feature, there's a few different columns that will get auto tagged when you're pushing those over to campaign. So we have a bankruptcy flag, we have a lien flag, a judgment flag, a vacant flag, a absentee. Well, the tag gets marked if their mailing address and property address is different. Quite a few different things that are returned there, that if there is a value for that returned in the skip trace and you're pushing that skip trace to campaign, it will auto tag the prospects. And so you can search then from the prospect search who qualifies for those tags, etc. So that's definitely a value. I know not everybody is using our skip trace, but it is now a big value of or a reason why to use our skip trace. So that data has always been returned in our skip trace files, but now the fact that it's auto tagging the prospects in your texting account so that you can bring up these under distress properties, that's a big bonus or a big benefit to skip trace. No changes in the cost of skip trace or anything like that. Just a way to help you guys figure out who is more likely to sell. Again, you can create tags. Obviously, if a tag is a custom tag, it's not going to be auto tagged, but see, our absentee is auto tagging, our golden address is auto tagging, our judgments are auto tagging, etc. Then you can manually use your custom tags as well. You can also create custom lead stages now as well. If you haven't checked that out yet, you should, especially with the fact that we can now really rework our old data in the system, which I'll talk about in a second. So create custom lead stages, or make sure you're really using lead stages. Don't just leave everybody as response received or initial message sent or dead. Use your lead stages, because now you can really work your old data again within the account. And that's with our follow-up campaign features. So I'll get into that now since I'm talking about it. So let's go to a campaign. We can click create follow-up. And so we have all of these different filters now. Lots of people have already been using these. There's some of you who probably haven't gotten around to creating a follow-up campaign just yet, so you probably haven't even noticed that this is here. So I do want to go over this with you guys today. And then we'll get into your questions. I know I've already been talking for 15 minutes. So I do want to get into your questions, but I want to make sure that this is covered, and this will probably prompt some questions from you guys as well. So I'm going to go through each of these different fields. If you've watched the YouTube video, I walk you through it all, but I'm going to do it here anyway so that you guys can jump in and ask questions if you'd like. So first things first, retain initial outgoing numbers. This is going to keep the same Sherpa phone number assigned to the conversation when you're following up with somebody, so that when you follow up, it's coming from the same number. To them, it looks like the same person is texting them. So you can say, hey, did you receive my last message? Or remember when we spoke a while ago, etc. And it will keep that conversation together. If you want to re-hit a whole list or just retarget people with a new phone number as if you're somebody else, because you want to come out at them with like a different angle or whatever, you can turn this off, and it will use a new Sherpa phone number from your phone number manager to contact that prospect. So to them, they're getting a new message from a new person. You're starting fresh basically with that prospect. So depends on how you want to handle your situation and who you're contacting, whether you want to turn that on or off. I do see the chat going off, so I'm going to see if anybody has a question related to the numbers. Okay, so nothing specific about the numbers. I'll get to your questions in just a second. The rest of these filters, imagine there's an and between each of them, not an or. So if you're selecting a lead stage and you're selecting all and you're selecting priority, we're only going to be pulling over the prospects from this original campaign who have this lead stage and who are marked as priority, whether or not they replied. So it's going to pull a very small specific list. So all of the other prospects who don't qualify for this lead stage and filter, priority filter, they're left behind in this original campaign, but we can then go back once this campaign's created and it's only pulled a few prospects out, we can go back and create more follow-up campaigns from this original campaign. So this is a big difference from before. Before, you could only take one campaign and create one follow-up campaign from it. You could then create a follow-up from that campaign going forward, but you could never go back to the original campaign because you've already pulled out all of those prospects who didn't reply the first time around. Now, with all of these different filters, you are able to pull out different types of lists from that one campaign. And so if you're doing this, remember, it's a very small specific list, and there's still lots of prospects left behind in that original campaign that you probably want to recontact as well. If you select more than one lead stage, it will pull, there's an any between any of these. And so it could be our prospects who are marked as nurture or response received or initial message sent, and they're all going to get pulled over. But if it's just one, you're specifying, I only want to talk to these people. For include prospects who have responded, this is a huge one that people have been asking about for so long, because before you could only recontact the prospects who did not reply the first time around. As long as they replied before, they're going to get skipped going forward. Even if you export that data and re-import it to a new campaign, they're going to get skipped. So this is a huge, huge new benefit to the system. The ability to recontact people even if they replied before, because maybe they replied 6 months ago or 3 months ago or a year ago and said, not interested now, message me again later. But before, you couldn't recontact that person. They're going to get skipped due to previous response. Now you have the ability to recontact those people. And so there's a few options here. So yes, I only want to include the prospects that have replied. No, I only want to include the prospects that haven't replied. all include both prospects that have and haven't replied. So before, this was the only option, this no, only include the prospects that haven't replied. It wasn't even a drop down option before, it's just all it did. But now you have the options to recontact people if they've replied before. And so if you're marking specific lead stages, you probably want to have at least yes or all, because if you're putting no, only include prospects that haven't replied, you probably haven't changed their lead stage to something other than initial message sent, and so that wouldn't really pull anybody out. Next, so these are other attributes that we have for prospects. So priority, qualified, owner verified, non-owner. Priority is a big one that you're going to want to message for sure. If you're used to cleaning up your priorities, just make sure you're not recontacting priorities who you've already closed a deal with unless you want to be doing that. But that if you've marked somebody as priority a few weeks ago, a few months ago, there's a reason you marked them as priority. And if you're leaving them hanging, then you could be missing out on deals. So again, this is a multi-select. You can select all, you can select just a few, whatever you need. Skip reason, this is to pull over if you still have campaigns that had carrier skips. And if you have any that were skipped due to the 5-day rule threshold reason. If you include any of these, remember, it's only going to include those prospects that qualify for this. So if I'm selecting AT&T, it's only going to pull over my AT&T skips. All of the other prospects are going to be left behind. I can create another follow-up campaign for them, but this is going to create an AT&T only campaign. 5-day rule, if somebody was skipped because they're messaged in the last 5 days, you can select this here to recontact them. If you do any, it will include both of these skip reasons. Finally, filters. This is based off of, keywords. It's based off of keywords that the prospect replied with. So if their conversation has one of these keywords that they replied with, you can specify to search for those prospects in this campaign to recontact them. So if they said, message me again later, or if they said, maybe you want to say not interested, but you want to be recontacting them 6 months down the line or a year down the line or whatever, you can pull out those people specifically. So again, it creates really niche lists, really specific lists, and then that allows you to target them with a really specific template. So you might want to then create a new template that really speaks to the people who qualify for this list, because it shows you're paying attention, shows. If you're just sending a normal initial outgoing template to them again, they might respond and say, yeah, we had this conversation before, don't you remember? Whereas you can treat them much more specifically now with a newly created template, depending on the list you're creating. And the final thing that I like to note here is we are going to be adding a feature where you can see which filters you selected to create the campaign, so that you can go back and create different campaigns not using those filters. But as of right now, what I'd suggest you would do is edit the name of the campaign to say these are my AT&T skips or whatever, so that you can know what filters you used when creating that campaign. And so what I was saying before as well is that lead stages are so important now because of this, because now if you're really accurately changing the lead stages for every single conversation, in 6 months down the line, you can target those people specifically in a really accurate way. So make sure that now, even if you're not creating follow-up campaigns, you're accurately using those lead stages so that in the future, you can retarget those lists in a specific way. If you just, and I swear I'm almost done talking, I know that I'm doing much more talking than normal before even addressing your guys' questions, but if you just want to create a follow campaign that you were used to creating before, where it just pulls over the prospects who didn't reply the first time around, and you just want to hit all those people again because they didn't reply yet, just leave everything as is in their default filters. So unless you want to contact them from a new number, you can change that. But everything else here, if you just leave these blank and leave this as no, only include the prospects that haven't replied, it's just going to create a normal follow campaign. You're going to be recontacting the people who didn't reply before, which might be something that you want to do if you're creating a follow-up campaign for a campaign that you just did a week or two ago or a few weeks ago, versus if you are recontacting a list that you messaged 6 months ago or a year ago, you might want to put some more specific filters on. It's all completely up to you. There's no right or wrong way to do it. just know that the more you segment your lists, the more of an appropriate experience you can give to the prospect conversation, and hopefully the more deals you can close. So that's a really huge update. Use the lead stages appropriately for this reason. Okay, I swear that was the end of my rant about all of our new features. Not all of our new features, there are other new features in here as well. Actually, one thing I will say is that this all unread tab is great. So you can see all of your messages in one place across all of your campaigns. You can also specify which campaign you want to look at a time as well. These grayed out ones are archived campaigns, by the way. So you still are getting your archived messages into this all unread tab as well. But if you do want to access messages from the campaign level, just like you did in Legacy, you can still do that. Some people are not, they just are used to, again, working Legacy. And so you can still follow all the same workflows that you had in Legacy in this new version as well. You don't have to use the all in red tab, although lots of people are loving it, but you can go at the campaign level. Let's click into the campaign. And then, oh, that's a large campaign. Okay. Click on prospects and messages. And this is just like it was in Legacy, still with the new layout where you can see the new message, or see the messages here in the preview and have all of these new features and options. But when you click on it, it's not going to mark it as red, or you can check your different lead stages here just like you did in Legacy. Another actual update that we did is that now all of these drop-down options, these drop-down filters are chronological. So when you come into response received, you're going to be able to see who has the most recent message first. This one is just marked as verified, so it's throwing it off. But this is all chronological now, which it was not in the old version of Sherpa. So that's a benefit there in itself. One final thing, I know I just said I was done blabbing on and on and on. I apologize. But for carrier approved templates, if you're not using them yet, turn them on. You're going to want to use them. So turn this toggle on, use a company name, a generic company name, not your actual company name. You just don't know who you're messaging, and you don't want to put your actual company name on there because people like to post reviews online if they're hostile. So just use a generic company name. We always use Fair Offer Denver. You can use your actual first name here, or you can use a fake first name here, but just use a generic company name here. We are adding some features to this. We have heard you guys say we want our actual name, whoever is sending the message, to go out on these templates. And so we're making some changes to how we can speak to that for you, or solve that for you, to use the name of whoever is sending the message, or have the option of using a fake name as well. So changes coming to that, but use the carrier approved templates. And then this will make it so you stop getting carrier skips. You will get no more carrier skips as soon as you have this turned on. So if you don't have it turned on yet, you could be missing like 30% of your prospects. Turn these on, you'll stop getting those skips. But also something that goes into this, when they are turned on, these are templates you have not created. We have created them. It just puts these options into the fields of the templates we created. So when you're sending out messages, you're going to notice, because the AT&T prospects are going to be scattered throughout the queue, you're going to notice, okay, my template's going out, my template's going out, and then it's going to look like a different template that you didn't create, because that's a carrier approved template going out. So we've had some people write in and say, how come my template is changing as I'm sending my messages out? That's because it's the carrier approved templates being used in your queue. Anybody who's not AT&T is still getting your selected template that you have created, but all of the AT&T prospects are going to be getting carrier approved templates, and there's quite a few of them, so you'll notice that they change as you're sending your messages out. Okay, so I'm going to take a look at the chat now. That was a lot of information thrown at you at once. I'm glad to see that most of you stuck around through that. Steve says, in version 2, when I click on the log out button, it opens a new window and logs me out in the new window, but it looks like I'm still logged in when I look at the window where I clicked on the log out button. Is there anything I should be doing differently for log out in version 2? So let's see what happens when I click log out. So for me, it just does it within the same window. I am logged out. It doesn't open anything new. So that's how it should be working on your own browser as well, Steve. And so it might be a local setting within your browser. Try in a new browser. If you're using Explorer, try using Chrome or try using Firefox or whatever, depending on what you're using, and see if you get that same issue in your different browsers, because if it's not happening in your other browsers, then it's a local setting within your browser settings.
Hey, Allison, excuse me. I was using the wrong button. I didn't even notice log out down there. I was using the one that's right above your little notification bell there, where it looks like an arrow coming up to the right of the square. What is that? What is
Yeah,
that
so
button
this
for?
actually goes back to the legacy version of Sherpa. So it will take you to, if you're already logged in, it will take you to your new or your old version of Sherpa. If you're not logged into the old version, it will prompt you to log in. But that just is the button to take you back to legacy for anybody who wants to go back. This button will be gone after Friday.
Okay, got it. Thanks.
You're welcome. All right, cool. So let's see what else we got going on in the chat. All right, noticed that some unread messages does not appear in new messages tab unless you go to the specific campaign under prospect messages, then you find the unread new messages. Go to the specific campaign under prospect. Jeff, I'm not sure I completely follow. However, I hear you that yes, maybe you're having a hard time finding one of your unread messages. And so if you can have a live example of that happening, it always helps. So again, always send all of your support questions to support@leadsherpa.com. We're very responsive there. Vinny, he's online with us today in the background. He's our guy there, and we have recently expanded our support success team as well. Amber, she's also online in the background here. Today's just her second day, but we're adding to our support success team to help you guys as much as possible. But it's the best when you guys can send either a screen recording, a screenshot is helpful as well, but a screen recording is the best. Loom is free and very easy to use to do a screen recording if you don't have a local software on your computer. Even if you send like a video from your phone recording your screen, it really helps for us to see exactly what you mean. We will dive into it if it is an issue that we can see happening. Tucker is asking, will we receive this recording? I just bought Sherpa yesterday. Welcome, Tucker. I want to send this recording to my business partner. Absolutely. This is recorded and posted to the YouTube channel. There is, so to access what I was mentioning before, the Facebook group, to access the YouTube channel, just come to this question mark in your platform here, click on Sherpa YouTube. It will take you over to our YouTube channel, and there's a playlist there for my bi-weekly Q&A webinars. They're all posted there. It will be posted probably later today. We try to always post it same day, depending on how many tickets and things we're getting that day. It would be really great if you put the filter per user filter under prospect search to take advantage of the lead stage and tagging. Hope you have an update for that. We absolutely do, Jeff. You're reading our minds. We do have this coming. And by reading our minds, I mean we've just been listening to all of your guys' customer feedback and putting as much of it into the platform as possible. So it should be live in the next couple of weeks. And it will be when you are sending your messages out. If you guys haven't noticed, we have this field here for agent. And so whoever sent the message will be auto tagged as the agent. And then when you come to the prospect search tag, you will be able to search by agent here as well. And so that should solve your problem or question or pain point. Once that is live, it will be live soon. Tucker, you are new. You're asking what is the 5-day rule, and I kind of explained it a little bit really quickly. However, I probably went over it speedy fast. So 5-day rule. If you or another Sherpa user in the area or anywhere has messaged that prospect in the last 5 days, that prospect is going to get skipped. This is to keep from over contacting prospects. It also ensures that if you're talking to a prospect, nobody else is texting them as well. So kind of two sides to the coin there. But when you are creating your follow-up campaigns, you do have the option to recontact those 5-day rules. So once you're done a campaign, if 5 days have gone by, you can create that follow-up for that 5-day rule threshold. and recontact those prospects as well. The other reason, we need to keep from over contacting people, because when people get over contacted, they complain to their number carrier and it puts everything at risk. And it's the whole reason why AT&T has become so strict on the messaging that they'll allow to go through to their users, because they didn't want to get any more complaints or reports from their users about people contacting their number too often about selling their home. So it's the whole reason we have that 5-day rule. You're very welcome. Okay, cool. Steve, you say, in Sherpa 2, once in a while, the push to Zapier button doesn't appear. I double checked and all my campaigns have the webhook push set up correctly. Have you encountered this? So we've had a couple people write in and say this. However, when we go check their campaign settings, the webhook is not selected. And so it's often something that people overlook when creating a follow-up campaign, because once you select those filters and everything, that setting is kind of overlooked because it's not something that you're selecting in those follow-up campaign filters. You have to go back to the campaign settings and set the campaign. Oh, I don't know why I did that. Let's see. There we go. So we have to go back and select this Zapier webhook in a follow-up campaign after the campaign's already been created. So if that's not the case, Steve, and you're seeing that this is selected, but for some reason it's not working in the prospect page, please send that example to support@leadsherpa.com so we can take a look. We do want to make sure that this is working as efficiently as possible. And something that we're actually doing to keep you from having to remember to do that step and go back is allowing a default Zap in your account settings page. And so that will just default all of your campaign settings to have that Zap set up, so you don't have to always remember to go back and select it. So that will be live in the next couple of weeks as well. Let me go back to my chat. What causes, let's see what Steve, just in case it popped off of that. When Zach was generating leads in my account, he said that my virtual assistants should be using a mark as read feature. When should we be using mark as read? Depends on exactly what workflow he's talking about. And for any of you who are new, you probably have received an email from me offering this, but just in case you've missed the email or it went to spam, what Steve is referring to, he says, Zach was generating leads in my account. This is part of our onboarding process. We have 3 texters who take over accounts every single afternoon and work in the account on your behalf. They generate leads for you. They take a look at your templates. They take a look at your past conversations to see if they have any advice for you, how to move forward. And so they work in the account for like 3 to 4 hours generating leads and then provide you feedback at the end of the day. It's not a live call. They'll just record their screen and send you everything you need to know at the end of the day. And then if you have more questions after that, we can always set up a Zoom account review as well. But if anybody is interested in having our onboarding team take over your account for the afternoon, even if you're an established account, it doesn't have to be just that you're in onboarding. Maybe you just need some help to see how they work in Sherpa 2.0. Just email support@leadsherpa.com and say you're interested in the account takeover. Again, it's not a live call. You don't need to be there. They just go in for the afternoon and take over the account. It is free. It's something that we do as a benefit to our customers. And so please do send us an email if you are interested in that. But Steve, to get to your question anyway, so mark as read works a little bit differently in the new system than it does in the old system. So if you're in the all unread tab, mark as read will happen automatically. So if I go from, you can see here, this is a red unread dot, and if I go on to the next one, no, I'm thinking of something else. Or it used to be this way. It used to be you would click off of the conversation and it would mark as read. But now we have this mark as read button, which we did not have in the beginning. And so that's why I had just been a little confused there, but you can now use this mark as read button. And so it has gotten rid of that conversation. So this Arthur was at the top of this list, but now I've marked it as read, so it's no longer in the all unread. We keep the conversation stuck here in case you still have to reply, but it is officially marked as read and will not show in your all unread or your unread messages in your campaign prospects and messages messages tab. So it's officially marked as read. And you only really need to use this if you're not replying. If you're replying to the prospect, if you send a message back, it will mark it as read for you. But if you don't have a reason to respond to somebody, you can just mark it as read and it will stop showing up in your all unread tab. Something else that he might have been referring to as well is checking your auto dead. I keep on going into such a large campaign and it takes a while to load. Let's see here. So your auto dead. So you have auto dead all and auto dead unviewed. You can turn this feature on or off. So that if this is on, you should be checking your auto dead all the time. And so this filters responses based on sort of negative replies. So if somebody says sold, not interested, F off, a whole bunch of different keywords that people use to let us know that they're not interested, it marks them as dead automatically. So it's not going to be in your unread filter. So you should be going and checking your auto dead. And once this loads, so I'm in the all. So these are ones that have already been viewed. But if we go to the unviewed, let's see if we have any in this campaign. We do. And so we can see that unread dot is here, but these messages are not showing in our unread filter of our campaign. And so before, the auto dead also was a feature that was campaign specific, but we've changed it to be account specific. And so we have the auto dead here. You can have it either on or off. If you haven't toggled this since accessing Sherpa 2.0, I would re-toggle it depending on what you want to do to make sure that that setting is updated so that it's pulling over this setting at the account level instead of just the campaign level like it was set up in Legacy. So if that didn't make sense, if you take anything from that comment, if you haven't done this yet in Legacy, toggle it on and off and leave it on whatever setting you actually want, just so it can update everything. Auto verify is actually something new, and while I'm on this page, I guess I'll mention it. It's something new just in the last couple of weeks, and I don't think I've covered this in a webinar yet. This is based off of our entire database data. So all of our accounts, we have all of your data, and so this helps us verify owners without you actually having to use the verify owner button. So depending on our data and what it tells us, if we know that this is a verified owner of that property, we will verify the owner for you if you have that toggle on. Let's see, we've got 2 more minutes here. I've got one more item in the chat. Okay, I have 2 questions. So what causes phone number to change within minutes in text conversation? Don't think it was in follow-up, but did even check that toggle is on to keep the same number. So the only thing that will change the phone number being used in Sherpa to message the person is, yes, if you created a follow-up campaign and you have that retain number toggle off, it's default on. So you only need to change the toggle when creating a follow-up campaign if you want to use a new phone number. If you want to keep the same phone number, the default is the correct setting that you're going to want to use. So just to remind you guys here, retain initial outgoing numbers, default on. So it's always going to keep that same outgoing number. If you turn it off, it will use a new Sherpa phone number. The other thing that may affect your conversation and use a new Sherpa phone number is if somebody has gone into your phone number manager and released the phone number that was being used. Then if that's the case, a new phone number will be assigned to that conversation. Let's see here, final things. Are all problems with your server now resolved? We still have some interference occasionally, not lasting too long, fortunately. We did have some server downtime 2 weeks ago, a week and a half ago. I believe it was a Thursday, Friday. Yes, our server provider has said that everything should be resolved. It was just with more things going on, more people using the new system, and so just took some balancing out. But everything should be resolved. If you have any sort of issues, just let us know, but you shouldn't have any sort of server issues or getting any server errors anymore going forward. Anyways, so that brings us down to our final time here. That was a full 45 minutes of me talking and talking, and so I'm sure you guys are maybe a bit overhearing my voice, but in case you're not overhearing my voice, feel free to reach out to me. If you need an account review or anything, let me know. I'm happy to walk through things with you. I'm here to help. That's my job. I'm customer success manager. I'm here to help you be successful. So don't be afraid to reach out. Best place to reach out for support is always support@leadsherpa.com, because Vinny is very quick at getting back to people. If you have my personal email, that's fine as well. I always get back to you at least within 24 hours typically, but I've got a lot of other things going on as well. So if you need really immediate support, just send an email over to support@leadsherpa.com. All right, cool. So I will post this recording, or Vinny will post this recording later today. And if you guys need anything, just don't be afraid to shout out. Thanks.